everybody, and welcome back to another commission painting vlog. This is vlog number 18? 18. What have I been up to? Well, the thing is, if you're a regular watcher of my vlogs, I'm a little tardy on this one. I don't know that I have a good explanation. I have kind of a good explanation, and that is for the first half of the month, I was really trying hard to complete my monthly projects so that I would have some time left over to complete two projects that have been sort of waiting in the wings, kind of. One of them was the Alien versus Predator project, and that's currently on the bench right now. And I'm going to show you some pictures of the actual aliens, the alien warriors, the Pred alien, that I completed, well, the very beginning of the month, actually. I got to say that I think the biggest problem with completing this project was the amount of instructions. Every time I went to do it, it'd be like, oh, right, I got to go back over and see what it is I need to do. And then it'd be like, well, you know, it's going to take a couple of hours just to go through the instructions. Why don't I knock this other thing out? So now that I don't have anything else to get in the way of it, I'm completing it. And then, of course, the other thing I'm going to be completing this month is the assault carrier conversion, which has been waiting in the wings off and on for months. And this is why I shouldn't take projects that are kind of open-ended, and better to do something and then sell it than tell somebody I'm going to do something and then put it off forever. So it's not a good plan for anybody. But that's going to happen. And that's because I scheduled this month light on purpose so that I would actually have that time to do that. And it seems to be working out, which is fantastic. But the other nice thing about scheduling light for this month is that it's given me a little time off. And that's not something I get a lot of. So I've done a few things with the time off that I've had. One of them is that I've actually played a game this month. I played a game of Song of Blades and Heroes, and if you are a regular watcher of my vlogs, then you know that that is one of my favorite games. And it's been months since I've played a game, and it is still one of my favorite games. I don't know. I get just a great amount of satisfaction out of that game, because when we play it, we are playing it to have fun. Nobody is there to win specifically. Yes, when we are playing, we have a goal, and we're trying to complete that goal, and both sides would like to be able to be the ones to do it. But it's not really where we're getting our fun. Our fun is coming from these sort of hilarious situations that happen as we're playing the game, and are sort of narrating those hilarious situations. And so, for example, let me give you a for example. In my game, I have a warband of undead that I like to use. And this time it was primarily just skeleton warriors, one skeleton archer, and a skeleton giant. And the skeleton archers in the game aren't particularly good. They're harassment at best, and sometimes they can pick off weak characters that have fallen, but you can't really expect them to do much, and they're expensive for the fact that they don't do that much. My skeleton warriors are kind of the faceless masses, and the giant is really the featured killer, if you will, in the group. And what was interesting is that my opponent had sort of a almost a standard kind of role-playing party that included, you know, your fighter and your thief and a cleric and an assassin. And the assassin in his previous game had been a pretty scary opponent. because the assassin has some special abilities that don't affect undead. But that was the interesting thing, was that his warband sort of changed dramatically simply because he was facing nothing but undead. But his cleric had an ability that didn't come into play in his previous game, and the cleric had the ability to just kill undead outright should he get any hit on them. And he managed to take down my giant. And he's actually not particularly skilled at combat. It was just one of those lucky situations where I was at a disadvantage, I rolled poorly, he rolled really well, case closed. And we were both really excited for his cleric, so that was fun. But it's a game that, you know, I'm going to continue to play again and again. I even picked up the advanced rules, but we were just playing the basic rules, and there's probably a bit of a feeling that perhaps the advanced rules won't necessarily add enough to make it worth delving into them. There's a certain just perfection to those basic rules. If you are trying to do something specific that the basic rules don't seem to really offer you, then maybe the advanced rules are probably the way to go. But I bought them anyway, and I have a number of their other rule sets as well. But what else did I do in my time off? I made a gun. This is the PPG from Babylon 5. And this is a file that I found on Thingiverse and printed it out with my 3D printer, sanded it to make it nice because, you know, the 3D printer gets things to a certain point and you need to take them farther in order to finish them up. And then I painted and weathered it so that you could get what you see here. So I am super stoked by this. I did not do a video on it. And, you know, I should mention that. Now, I've already done a 3D printing video this month. And I will probably do another one this month. What I don't want to have happen is for all of my videos to be 3D printing related. As much as I am drawn to just doing that, that wouldn't be fair to everybody. So I'm trying to mix it up. And really what I should just be doing is doing more videos, but that doesn't always happen. But that might happen in the future. Anyway, so just before I move on to kind of more on that topic, this took a couple of days overall to do. This could be better. I didn't do quite as much sanding and filling as I could otherwise have. And if you look closely, you can see some of the 3D printing striations. But they're not bad. And certainly from this distance, it looks badass. Looks really good. So, and what I'm doing right now is I'm printing up, I have started printing the parts to make Rey's blaster from The Force Awakens. This is the one that Han Solo gives to her, and she's like, I can take care of myself. And he's like, yeah, that's why I'm giving you this. And it looks like it's going to be a really cool project. And so I am going to do a how to finish video, because in many ways it's very similar to this. If nothing, actually it's probably easier than this. Rey's blaster is very smooth. It has lots of smooth lines, and the file doesn't include all the little screws already in it. So when finishing this one, you kind of have to sand around a lot of details if you want to not eliminate those details. Which is why, you know, it's really hard to get into places like in there, in there, down here. But with Rey's blaster, that's not going to be an issue. In case you're curious, because I've been asked this already a number of times. Am I selling these? I didn't create the file. So if you want the file, you can go to Thingiverse and you can get it for free. If you want me to print out the pieces for you, I haven't figured out exactly how I want to do that. It actually, this one takes about 15 hours to print, but it's not that much of materials. But it's like I'm trying to figure out like what is worthwhile for me to bother doing it in terms of money, and having my own sort of access to the 3D printer not available to me. So anyway, and I could finish one up for you like this, and I haven't figured out a cost on that either. But if you're interested in that, contact me and let me know. Just real quick. So this actually has a trigger that's like pressable. And it's because it's just this simple little design where, oh, there you go. Simple little design. Oh, come on. There we go. It goes right in that little, and so you can kind of pull the trigger. It feels like it moves. I don't know why that's cool, but it is. It's really neat. It would even be possible to convert this for electronics, I think. It wouldn't be too hard. Unfortunately, one of the things keeping that from happening is the fact that the body prints in one piece, so it's not like two halves that you can easily get apart. But I think that would be possible to do that. You could make the cap removable. I glued it in because I don't really care. This isn't a prop in that way for me. Like, this is probably just going to end up on the wall at some point. Right now, I just like playing with it. But it's mostly hollow. Like, the way it prints is it just has that infill, so it's like a kind of almost a honeycomb pattern inside. And so if you wanted to, you could even sort of dive into it this way and kind of clear out some of the honeycomb. It's really easy to get rid of. In any case, oh, and it's got the cool, where is it? There it is, Psycore symbol on it. So I'm just really excited that I had the time to do a non-gaming project for myself. I'm actually a really big fan of sci-fi prop weapons. And this is the first time I've ever been able to really do much with that hobby. I have a Farscape pistol that I bought years ago as a kit. I have an Enterprise era phaser. But it's one of the toys. It just happens to be one of the good looking toys. And I've had other things. Oh, I've got an Alien 3 pistol that's actually a casting from the stunt prop. Because I used to have access to that kind of stuff back in the day. But I haven't really been able to do much with that hobby just because it's expensive and it's neat to have the stuff sort of sitting around, but it's not like gaming stuff where you do something with it, which is how I got into gaming miniatures in the first place. But that's another story. But let me go back to what I was talking about earlier about maybe having more time for videos. One of the things I did this past week is I actually had a job interview. It'd be part-time, temporary, working at one of the universities here. There's a bunch of universities where I live. And I'd be doing marketing again, which is, my previous career. But the nice thing about it is that the job, should I get it, would cover sort of my base level bills and such. And then I would, and again, part-time, and then I would use some of that remaining time to do commission work so that I could bring my income back up to a level where, I'm happier. But even then, that should leave me with enough time to do more videos, which is really what I want to be able to do. And right now well, as you know, because I've mentioned this many times, the commission work always takes precedence. and it's sometimes really hard to set aside a little bit of time in order to just do this, even when I'm, just setting up a camera and talking. That's all time, and then I have to eventually edit the video. Luckily, these videos, unless I've been a complete idiot, which I sometimes am, don't take that long to edit. But sometimes I need to get rid of weird background noise and the times where I go a lot, and things like that. Like that right there, like that moment right there where I sort of paused because I wasn't sure exactly where I was going. So in terms of other videos for this month, we're going to be talking about a new product that I have discovered, thanks to Larry Killian at Models Workshop, the podcast. I was going to say blog, like it's not a blog, podcast and website, Models Workshop. And this is Createx Reducer, which is essentially just a thinner for airbrushing. But it works really well. And I'll go into it in more detail in the video that I'm going to do. But this has pretty much entirely replaced Liquitex Airbrush Medium as my thinner of choice. I still use Airbrush Medium for creating more transparent colors, transparent paints. And this is still my favorite wash creator. Like if you're going to create a new wash color, this is absolutely what you want to use. I love this. And again, I'll go into more detail about that in the review video, which hopefully I'll record today, but we'll see. So we haven't really talked about what I worked on recently. I did mention the Alien vs. Predator project, and let me just say that while I really like the final results on the aliens themselves that I did, the castings on those minis left a lot to be desired. There were a lot of voids in those models, like areas where the mold just didn't fill all the way. And in fact, one of the most frustrating areas was one of the hands on one of the models was just sort of missing every claw. And there was a void like behind where the claw would have been. So in trying to figure out how to fill that and create a new claw, I discovered that I could just hit extrude on the 3D printer and get myself a little length of very thin plastic that was perfect. So that was a neat discovery. And once they were all cleaned up, they painted really well, and they're very nicely sculpted figures. I wouldn't mind having some myself at some point, kinda. I also did the Ghost from Star Wars X-Wing, and that the client wanted that in sort of a military green. He had provided a sample that he was looking for. That was kind of a weird experience because on the one hand, it's just an X-Wing mini, but on the other hand, as I was painting it, I get these weird Starship Troopers flashbacks because the painting process and the coloration was very similar. And so I think, about halfway through, I'm like, oh, this is so weird. It's not quite the same, but for me, there were a lot of memory triggers, so that was interesting. I did, of course, another couple of Kingdom Death Monster projects, as I seem to always do, although I don't have any for next month, which is strange. But I will have some the following month, I think. One of which, actually, one of the projects from this month was painting another one of the Dragon Kings. but painting it in a different coloration. And this time it's in a blue-gray instead of the green. Really like it. The results were quite nice, much more colorful, and I don't know, one of my favorite dragons ever. So that was cool. And then I think the thing I was really most excited about this month was the Outcasts Seven Sins board game minis. But these are resin versions of the Seven Sins themselves, sold by Studio McVeigh, who did the original sculpting. So these are not the softer plastic versions that will come in the board game, which I guess is shipping now. It was a Kickstarter. But being able to do these, it was like painting something for a horror movie, and it was super fun. Really, really nice. I think my favorite was not Envy, but Pride. Pride, and Pride is the guy with all the tentacles shooting out from his head. Love that one. Also Greed, which is sort of bug-like, and he's sort of stuffing his face, was also really cool. But I like them all. They were all really, really cool, and I got to do some things I don't normally do in terms of coloration. And in the end, I was very proud of that work. Something else I kind of discovered, which was neat, was that you can take the Blood for the Blood God from Citadel and thin that down and do some interesting things, because it's a fairly unique color. I actually tried to mix it myself using I think it was brown matter. Yeah, Joe Sonia brown matter, and I added just a little bit more. I think I added a little bit of red to it. I can't remember. This is a very bloody color to begin with. See if you can see that. Whoop, get my face out of there. There it is. It's a good blood color. But the other thing that's nice about the Blood for Blood God is also transparent. So it works better as a wash. Anyway, so that was fun. And and I don't even have pictures of this yet, but I just finished. This was a mini from Freebooter. And I don't remember the game it's for, but this is a vampire, they call it Vampire Count. Let's see if you can see it. There we go. It's a very cool mini. He was being painted as Strahd from, it's a D&D, Strahd von Zarovich, Baron Strahd von Zarovich from Ravenloft, the Ravenloft setting. So he's going to be a D&D mini, which is really cool. So it's been good, been a good month. Lots of fun projects, and overall really excited with the stuff that I've done. So next month I have two major projects, and I think a couple of small ones. So the two major projects are doing all of the new releases from the Marvel miniatures game from Night Models, and a large project of Halo ground combat game from Spartan Games. So both of them are brand new minis. Both of them, essentially the clients are waiting for the minis to ship to them before they ship them to me. But that's what I have. And like I said, I have some other projects that off the top of my head, I can't recall exactly what they are, but things have been rolling in. And the weird thing is that I was feeling like September was a little sparse on projects, and then when I went back and looked, I went, oh no, I actually have a lot of, I'm sorry, August, not September. August was sparse. September, I'm just starting to add things to. Anyway, when I went back and looked at August, it turned out I was wrong. There was lots of projects there, and I was going to be busy. So there's that. With any luck, if I do end up getting that job, it's not going to kill me too much. Anyway, I think that's going to cover it for now. Definitely appreciate y'all watching, and as I have mentioned in the past, I do have a Patreon. I've got a couple of new subscribers one this month, one last month, and I thank you both. And if you want to support the videos in general, go check out the Patreon. Any amount is helpful. Essentially, what I'm hoping is that if y'all just were to throw in a tiny bit, but we had enough people doing it, then the videos can more easily support themselves. So any amount is helpful, and I thank everybody for contributing. So that's going to do it for now. Thank you all for watching. I will talk to you all later, and we'll see you in the next video. Bye. Okay.